and start video. Got it. Mic is 2 PNP. Video is seen tonight. Okay, live. Yeah. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you very much for making it for this session. My name is Vinai Prakash from ExcelChamp. Today, I will be sharing with you how to get started in learning some of the secrets of pivot tables, one of the best and most powerful tools of Excel. So it does not matter which version of Excel you are using. Even if you have an older version of Excel, like Excel 2007, Excel 2010, Excel 2013, 2016, 2019, or if you have the latest Office, Microsoft Office 365, you can still follow through and do all the steps yourself. The features that I will demonstrate to you are built into Excel for a long time. Some only one or two things I will show you are a newer feature that only came in Excel 2013 or in 2016. But if you are using 2010 and onwards, you are safe. And if you have 2013 and ahead, anything newer after Microsoft Excel 2013, then that means you will have no problem at all. So do not worry about the version of Excel that you have. Try to learn the techniques and see how to maximize with your current version of Excel. Just a quick check, guys. Can you all hear me? So let me say hello to you. Hello, can you all hear me and see me? They can't see, is it? They can see. Okay. And can hear also, volume is good? So I just want to make sure if you can write something in the chat, that will be great, because we will get to know that you are able to hear me and see me. If you can, click or write something in the chat, that is fantastic, because unfortunately I cannot hear you today. So you have to use the chat window to talk to me. Neeraj, are you all there? So what we are going to do, guys, is I want to make sure that you make this session a practical session. That means you follow along with me as well. So I have prepared one set of data file, a simple Excel file with some simple sales data and some inventory data that we will show you on the screen. And if you want to try this along, you can download this Excel file also. So I will share the link in the chat, so you all can click on the link and download this file. So I have sent you this file is coming from Dropbox link. You should be able to click on it and this will open one Excel file. So can you guys please try and open this file first. I'll give you a minute so that you can click on the link, download the file, open it, and have it ready so that you can follow along with me as I show you the tips, tricks, and secrets of pivot tables in Microsoft Excel. So guys, please download the sample file and let me know once you have downloaded the file. You can just say that you got the file. Probably you could click on the like button and subscribe to our channel. So we will get to know quickly that you have got the file. The file looks like this. Once you open the file, it will show inventory report, and you will get to see that we have store, product, part number, vendor, units on hand, as well as the unit price. So this is the raw data. It's not a lot of data, just a few rows, like 34 rows. So it's not too much data, but yet if I ask you how many parts do we have in a particular store, like how many parts are there in Singapore, or how many parts are supplied by Acer, or how many keyboards do we have across all the stores. So these are questions that we may be having as managers, as inventory manager, somebody taking care of the inventory, and we want quick answers. So even if the data is not too much, or even if it is huge amount of data, it will take time for you to calculate and find these values. But today, the pivot table, which is everybody can easily use, we don't have to write any formulas. We can simply use the mouse and summarize huge amount of data pretty easily. So let us have a look and see how we can achieve this. Okay, so as you can see here, I have the file open in my spreadsheet. I hope you can see my screen. I'll zoom in a bit, so you should be able to see this data. And now I'm going to create a pivot table so that we can understand this data, analyze this data, and learn the secrets of pivot tables. So very simple. I'll go to Insert, and I'll click on the first button, which is Pivot Table. Simply by clicking on it, I will be able to select the entire data. As you can see, the marching ends, Excel automatically grabbed the data. All we need to do now is to accept it if the data is complete, and by default, Excel creates a pivot table on a new worksheet. We are fine with this. This is actually a good idea. So we simply click OK. And now we have a new sheet, which is right now called Sheet 1. And what you see on your screen is the default pivot table screen. So on the top, you will see the menu bar, the pivot table. The cursor will be in the cell A3. And I am going to quickly create a simple pivot table. So here's the pivot table. The report will come up here, and all the choosing of the columns, what do you want to see, is done on the right hand side. So very simple. I'd like to see the store. When I click store, immediately I see a listing of all the stores that we have. There are no duplicates. That's the good thing with pivot tables. And then I'd like to see the units on hand. So I click on the quantity, the units on hand, and immediately I see a listing of summary data. That means For each of the store, the total units on hand has been summarized. How cool is that? Now we have received our data. There are no duplicates. By default, Microsoft sorts this data on the first column. That means it is sorted on our city rather than on the number of units. But if you want, you can change it. So if we want, we can change the sort order, we can add calculations, all these things I want to share with you today. So very easy. Let us go and start to do things step by step. First of all, let us fix some of the problems. Like here it says row labels, but I'd actually like that if it should show store. So I type store and done. The heading is now store. Finally, I don't like this long big heading, sum of units on hand. So I would like to change it to total quantity. So I simply overwrite it, total quantity. That's it. Now this looks a way much simpler report. It does not look so busy and it's easy for me to understand this data. So the space is saved, right? If you want to sort this in the ascending or descending order of the inventory, the quantity, we can do that. Simply right click and you will see sort. Now, this is the smart thing. What would you like to sort on? The number, smallest to largest. And now you can see it is sorted in the ascending order of the quantity. If we want to change it, I want to sort it in the descending order. I simply choose sort largest to smallest. When I do that, now the data is sorted in the order of largest to smallest. How easy is that? Well, that's great. And we have seen how to beautify it, how to make it look nice. There is a whole tab of design where you can pick lots of colorful options. So if you like green or blue or purple, we can choose different colors. If you want every line to be having more color or banded rows, we can easily choose those. But normally I'll stick to the basics and I don't like to change the colors too much. So let's just stick to the default basic. This color is fine with us. So I have shown you how to do the sorting and having a better name and heading. Now I would also like to see the products. What products do we have? So I'll choose products here. And when I choose product, what happens is the report is now by store and by product. So you can see here, we have the store and the product, and for each store, you can see the inventory step by step. So you can see now that we have 18 CD-ROM in London, we have 197 memory board in London, and we have 456 monitors in London. So by having these tips, it is pretty easy for us to figure out and see what inventory in each of the stores. Now that we have seen the setting, let me reverse it. So what I want to do is I won't like to see by product, by store. That means exactly opposite of this. So I can take the product from this side and drag and drop it above the store. So now what happens, it is by product, by store. So for each product, we can see the stores. Of course, the report looks quite long, but it is the thing that you want. There is a choice. If you don't want the store to be on the right hand side, we can easily move the store from the rows into the columns. And now you see we have a very beautiful cross-tabulated report. We have the products on the left and the stores on the right. And you can directly see that London has 732, New York has 713, Singapore has 386 parts, and in total we have 2,486. So you can easily change. Maybe I don't want the product. Well, no problem. You can uncheck the product. Maybe we want to see it by vendor. I pick the vendor, and now the report, same report, is now given to us by vendor, by store. So you can analyze your data in any way. Let's look at some advanced options in how you can enhance your reporting. So now what I will do is I can see all the parts for all the stores, but I am only interested in monitors. So we also have the product. If I take the product and tick it, the report becomes extremely huge, and like this is very difficult to see. So what I normally do is I don't keep the product here, but I'll drag it into the filters area. By having the product in the filters area, you will notice that now we have a drop down available in the filters. If I pick here and choose, I'd like to see the monitor and click OK. Well, now the report is filtered only for monitors. So what you're looking at is by store, by city, and only the monitor inventory. We can change it and choose the mouse. Okay, now we are looking at the mouse inventory. So we have 465 mouse. You can see how many in Paris, how many in New York, and you can also see how many of these were supplied by the different suppliers in the different cities. So cool is that. And if at all you would like to combine, let's say I want to see the keyboard and the monitors. So you notice here we can only choose one item at one time. So when I choose keyboard, I only get the keyboard. But we have a choice. If you want to choose multiple items, we have the select multiple items checkbox. When we check this, now you have the option to choose the keyboard and the mouse together. When you do this and click OK, of course, you may not see the product name here, but we have this inventory. And if at all you want to see the breakdown, there are a couple ways to do. So one simple way is if you bring the product down, you will now see for each product the different suppliers. I personally find keeping the product above the vendor. So all the keyboard situation and all the mouse situation. Well, you got to decide what you want to see. Accordingly, you can plan and move around the columns, the field, in whether you want it in the city, in the column, or in the row. So these are some of the beautiful things that we get to see in the pivot table reports. And what we want to show you is how you will be able to add more value to it. Now I want to show you, so this was the basics that I just wanted to quickly cover in case you're not familiar with pivot tables, but I hope you know some of the basics, and if you did not, hopefully this intro will help you to get started. Now we are finally going to go inside and start to look at some more advanced options, the secrets that I want to share with you. All right, guys. So the very first thing, let me clear this. I'll remove the vendor, remove the store, and I want to clear the filter as well. And so I'll choose the clear filter, and we have the entire report. Just want to highlight to you, depending on the Excel version you are using, 2007, 2010, or 13, 16, 19, or 365, whenever you are outside the pivot table, you might see that your menu will finish at data, review, or view. You might have the developer if you do record macros, etc. But if not, this is the end. But the moment you click inside the pivot table, you might get 2 or 3 new menu items. The name may be slightly different. Sometimes it just says options. Sometimes it'll say analyze. And at other times, it might be a two-line thing saying pivot table analyze. Okay, so we can see the analyze, we can see the design. And if you have analyze, please check analyze. If this is only called options, you can still click on it. If we ever mess with the pivot table and you choose too many things and you are like, I wish I hadn't done that. So what you can do is you can simply go to analyze and clear all. By doing that, the whole pivot table is cleared and you are given a blank slate. So we can start the pivot table all over again. That's what I'm going to do to start showing you some advanced options. So I only want you to choose the product and the units on hand. As you can see, the data is back to normal. The heading, the nice heading that we had keyed in, total quantity and the store name, that's gone now, because remember, we cleared all the settings. So we are back to square one, but this is a good way to restart. Now, let's look at the data. So we realize that we have the quantity on hand and we have the price, but this price is missing the tax. You know, for in most countries, there is a government tax called sales tax or GST, goods and services tax, corporate tax, state tax, whatever different names you might be having. So we don't have a tax in in this file, but in Singapore right now we are on a 7% GST, which is charged on all goods and services. This is going to increase to 8 and 9% shortly, but right now this is the situation. So unfortunately, the price that we have is the raw price, that's before the any GST. And I also want to see how much we will be spending on the GST. So if let's say this was the price or this was the amount, and how do we calculate the GST? So I'd like to have a price with GST. And of course, you can add a new column here and calculate like price with GST. And we could just say like take this, multiply by 1.07. So once you multiply, you will see the price is now with GST. And then I have to copy this down. Even I have added this, you'll realize that this new column, price with GST, is not in this list. That's because when the pivot was created, this column was not part of it. So we will have to change the data source and then only it will come here. But this is not the most recommended option. In fact, I can add it today, but you know, when we get a raw file again tomorrow from our SAP or Oracle or Navision or Microsoft or whatever ERP or corporate system you are using, then this column will be missing. So rather than I am adding this new price with GST every single day, it's not a good idea. What I will do is within the pivot table, I'll create the price with GST. And I'd like to show you, this is one of the secrets that most people are not aware of, how to create your own calculations that don't even exist in the original base data that we got. So to do that, we go to Analyze. And here we will look for the fields, items, and sets. By choosing it, we find the first option, calculated field. I'll take it. And now we will create a price with GST. As you can see, price with GST, it says equal to 0. That's not going to happen. So we take the unit price. Guys, it's recommended that you don't type, but you double click or you click and choose insert field, so that if there is any space or single quote or double quote, it will come in exactly as it is, and you won't face any syntax or spelling errors. We multiply it with 1.07, and that's adding 7% to the existing price. We click OK, and voila, immediately the price with GST is available. In fact, that's already added in here. So now that we have the price, we will be able to do computations and calculations with the price if you wanted to do that. So by doing this, what I have shown you is our data does not have the price, but yet we have calculated it with the GST here. And now, even if the data changes tomorrow, we don't have to worry about it. So for example, if I go back to inventory, and for Paris keyboards, I change the price from $29 to $100. Enter. And you notice now the price is $100. So with GST should be 107, right? So if I go back to sheet 1 and I search for Paris, that means I must filter for Paris only. So I'll pick Paris, click OK. And now we have to see the product that we have added, the quantity, and of course there are multiple parts, so it may not make sense because we have added this 100 only for Acer. So I'll choose only Acer again by choosing Acer. So what I will do is we will choose our vendor to be also in the store, and I'll choose only Acer. By doing this, you can see that the sum of units is 100, and the sum of price with GST, that means where is this $31.03 coming from? So you can see here, this used to be $29, but I changed it to 100. I'm surprised if the value did not change. That's because the pivot table caches the data in the memory, in its RAM. So you can easily change the value simply by right-clicking and saying refresh. When you do that, immediately the price changes. And you can see now, I can, if I wish, I can have the price before GST, and this is the price with GST. Now that we have verified it, I don't have to worry. I have confidence in this, and I can go back to all vendors and all cities. By doing that, we'll get to see the totals, and now we have the item with the price as well. So these are simple ways to create calculations. Where can you use it? Well, you can use it if you are creating, let's say, net revenue. So you have the gross revenue minus the gross cost or cost of goods sold, and you will get the net revenue. You want to calculate the net margin, you want to do any simple calculations, you can easily do it within the pivot table without having to modify the original source data. So that was our first set. And also I want to share with you, many people, they are like, oh, I want to see the formula, I want to modify it. Where do we go to modify? And they are clueless about it. So what we are going to do is I'll show you how easy it is to go back and see this information. So all we need to do is to stay inside the pivot table, go back to analyze, fields, items and sets, calculated fields. But where is it? So if you click on price with GST, this is not the correct way. This is for inserting values. So don't pick here. Instead, do you see that the name has a drop down? Well, that's the hidden secret place. If you choose the drop down, you will see the price with GST, and it will show you the calculation. Now you know where to go to find the calculations. You can easily modify it or delete it if you no longer need it. That's it. So this trick is complete, And now we will move on to our next trick. So for this, I am going to rearrange my pivot table. So let us clear it, clear all. This is a sure way to clear everything. And now I'll only choose the store and the quantity on hand. That's it. So we have our store and the quantity on hand. As we discussed, we can change the headings and looks nice. The only thing is this report is for the 6 cities where we have stores. But if I want to further simplify the report, for example, when we bring in the products, this report becomes very huge and is very difficult to navigate because I have to go here and there to look at it. So actually, I want to look at this information by continent. Yeah, so I want to see America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. But unfortunately, in our data, we don't have a continent or a region. So we don't have America, North America, or Europe. And for example, Paris and London will belong to Europe. New York and Houston will belong to America, and then we can also see Japan and Singapore can be Asia Pacific. But unfortunately, we do not have this setting. So again, it's pretty easy. All we need to do is never to touch the data. So we simply come in here and I'll simplify. Let's go and put in the pivot table field list. So the field list is showing now. What we want to do is to combine Houston and New York, combine Singapore and Japan. So very easy to do. I'll click on Japan. I'll hold the control key and I'll click Singapore. So do you notice that Japan and Singapore are selected? Now I'll simply right click and say group. So what will happen is these two, Japan and Singapore, are clubbed together as group 1. Now I don't understand what is group 1. So I'll click on it and rename it. Maybe we call it Asia Pacific. That's it. Now we can close the minus sign and we have collapsed them. How about we take London and we take Paris? So again, we hold the control key and pick London, control Paris. Now we are going to right click and group. This becomes our group 2, which we can call Europe. And finally, we have Houston, control New York, right click, group, and this group 3 will be our Americas. Okay, that's it. So now what we have done is we have collapsed our 6 stores into only 3 major regions. But, and the heading is not so good. And here, if you notice, we have 2 new things called store 2 and store. But our customer, our user, our management may be confused when they see store 2. What is this store 2? I don't understand. So let's fix this. We can click on store 2, field settings. You can do that here. There are actually many places to do. And we change it to region or continent. Yeah, and click OK. So you now notice we have a new field available in our field list called region, and actually there was no region in our inventory data. So coming back in here, now I may not want to keep the store. I just want to see the region, and maybe I'll bring the product down and the region in the columns. So now, as you can see, I'm looking at all the products only for Americas, Asia Pacific, and Europe. So the store from 6 have been simplified to only 3 areas. So these are our regions. And as you can see, the report is so much simplified. So better to learn how to group things that are logically possible to be grouped and group them. Simplify your pivot tables. Look at it from a higher level, because pivot table is actually a summarization technique. So it's a way to summarize the data so that you look at a bigger picture and analyze it at the top rather than looking at each individual part number. So this was a great technique we have seen. Next, guys, are you all able to follow through? Maybe you can, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat if you have any questions. So the chat is open. You can go to the right hand side and let me know if you have any questions. Quickly update me so that I can Okay, I do not see any questions at the moment. So let's continue. And next we will look at further advanced options. So I hope you can still see my screen. And so what we want to do is next look at how we can easily filter the data, easily group the data, especially if you have huge amount of data. So if you notice, I have another sheet here called sales data. And let's open the sales data. So on this sheet, as you can see, when I press the down arrow key, control down, I have 60,000 rows. That's a lot of data. 60,000 rows. And when we look at it, we have the region, the customer, the category, and we have the color, the sales date, price, and order quantity. So with so much data, how do we analyze it? How to summarize it? And my customer, my boss, they would like to see the information quarterly, by month, by year. But we don't have separate columns for the year, the quarter, or the month. So what we are going to do is quickly create another pivot table. Click new worksheet. And when we are on the pivot table, now we quickly choose the region to see that we have 6 countries, and we can take the order quantity. Now this is summarizing 60,000 rows. So it's pretty impressive that it is able to capture so much data and show it to you quickly. Now, I want to show you how to work with dates. So as you can see, we only have the sales date. And if I will take the sales date and simply check it, Excel automatically creates the quarters and the years for you. So now we have regions, and so region probably we can bring it in the columns. And now you can see a report of 2019, 20, and 21, which we could open and further see the multiple quarters. And within each quarter, you can see the month, and you can see the total order quantity sold in each of the countries, in each of the regions, by month, by quarter, and by year. So this automatic grouping is a feature of Excel that is only going to happen if you have a newer version of 2016, 2019, or Office 365. For people using the older versions, in case the dates do not get converted or get grouped, so I would like to share with you how you can do it on your own. So if, let's say, you choose the date and the date is not grouped automatically, let me ungroup it. So you might see the dates like this. and the date will go all the way to like 1000 lines. So that's a lot of data. I don't want to see my sales on a daily basis. So if you see this type of data, the master technique is to simply right click and choose group. When you do that, Microsoft will automatically show you that this data can be grouped by quarters, months, and years. So let's choose all of these options, months, quarters, and years. And when I click OK, now all the data is grouped by quarter, month, and year automatically. Now we can position things around. For example, maybe I don't need the sales the month, so we remove it. Maybe I'd like to see it quarterly, and the region, we move it to the filter. So now we can look at the data for each country one at a time. Yep. And if you want to see Australia and France at the same time, so you will notice we will see the total, but now you have lost the region. We don't know which region are we looking at. So there is a better way. Let's remove the filter on the region, and I'd show you how easy it is to add a slicer. So we simply go to Analyze, Insert Slicer, and we will choose to add a slicer on the region. By doing this, we will add a slicer. And slicer is a visual filter. But here the benefit is when I click Australia, I see only Australia. When I click France, I only see France. And when I click United Kingdom, we only see the United Kingdom. How about you want to choose more than one? Simply hold the control key and choose another city. So now there you have it. Here we see multiple items, but now you can see it visually what got selected. So that's the beauty, and we can now easily summarize our data in different ways. And one of the beauty of this technique is that, let me clear this. I am now going to insert a chart. So we go to insert and we can insert a pivot chart and click OK. So we got a quarterly chart of all the sales done in the 3 years. But this data is for the entire country. And if I choose particular country like Germany, you notice the charts update instantly. And when you choose Canada, the charts update again. So that's the beauty. Not only the data changes, the charts will change also. And sometimes it is easier to visualize the information in the chart rather than in the data. I mean, looking at it, I know that Q3 was highest among all of the 3 years, but I might have missed it when the data was here. So great choices. Let's look at what is the top selling quarter in Australia. And we can see that it was the third quarter in 2020. How about United States? Well, it seems that Q3 of 2020 was the biggest for them as well. But it may not be the case for everyone, and different countries might have different sales. Okay, so as and when you choose the different combination, you will still be able to see the comparison. And you can place slicers on other columns as well. So you're not limited here. Let us say I would like to change the report, and we are going to look at the quarters, but I'd like to see it by category. So we have the categories among the 4 quarters, and now I can go and choose a particular country, or I can also analyze it by the year by adding a slicer on the year. You can also add a slicer on the color and analyze the sales by color and see which product, which color sells the most. So now we have multiple slicers placed here, and this makes it so much better to analyze the data. So now if I pick blue, immediately the sales is only reflected for the blue color. Blue color in Australia, it's even lesser. Now we are able to analyze our data in so many different ways. So you can now see blue in 2020 only 807, blue in 2019 600. So at least the sales is growing. And how about we go to the United States? 2019 blue sales was 3,700, and moving to 2020, it was 5,000. It increased. Moving to 2021, it dropped considerably. In fact, looks like we haven't sold much of blue color in US in 2021. What happened? What went wrong? Well, that's the whole purpose of looking at pivot tables, to help you find the problem areas so you can go deeper, find the problem and fix them. That's the whole beauty of using pivot tables. Let's clear the filters here. And now we are back to all the colors in all the years in all the regions. So today we have seen so far how to create a pivot table, how to rename, how to beautify it, how to create computed calculated items like tax, price with tax, and we also got to see how to modify if you create a calculated field. We saw how to do filters, how to add slicers, how to do grouping of manual countries. So when we looked at this, we were able to group the countries by the region, by the continent, Europe, Asia, and America. We also saw how to sort the data in ascending order or the descending order. Finally, we got to see how to place a pivot table, how to group the data by year, quarter, and months, how to add multiple slicers and slice and dice your information for different years and different colors to be able to analyze your data in the way you want it. Pivot tables are extremely powerful. I have created multiple videos only talking about pivot tables, the different features of pivot tables, so you can go deep and master them. Today's session was to show you some of the hidden secrets that most of us don't realize, but knowing them can add value to your pivot table analysis, and hopefully you can gain more out of your data. Keep using pivot tables for quick data analysis, and you will be able to see the high level picture of your data. I hope you are liking this video. Please, if you have not done it yet, click on the like button now, and please subscribe to our channel so that as and when we release new videos and do new live sessions, you will be notified and you can participate and take part in our detailed step-by-step training and tutorials. We release new videos regularly on our channel. Do subscribe and like our channel as well as like the videos. I hope you are enjoying them, and please write in the comments what new sessions you would like. Which topics do you want me to cover so that I can create such lessons and live sessions for you. Getting your feedback is very important because this helps me to understand whether I'm able to help you or not, and what should I do to help you even more, because my mission is to make you awesome, make you ExcelChamp, make you an expert in using Excel on a daily basis. So what can I do for you? Please write in the comments, let me know. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you very much for joining me, and I wish you a pleasant evening. Thank you very much, guys. All the best. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat I'm still around, and I'll wait for you to see if you are having any questions or problems that you'd like me to help you with. So unfortunately, I cannot hear you, but you can type in the chat. I'm waiting for you guys. Quickly give me the thumbs up, like this video, and tell me what you would like me to cover in the future. All right, I am getting some requests. Manik wants me to cover the VLOOKUP function. Sure, definitely I'll cover this in my next live session for you. So I hope you will benefit from it. Please let me know what other topics I can help you with. And I hope, Manik, you have liked our video and you have subscribed to our channel already so that you will be notified immediately. Sure, we will do a live video as well as exercises on the VLOOKUP, several exercises. That's what I normally do in our workshops that I conduct in Singapore and in many parts of the world. So here we do classroom sessions and we do live Zoom sessions all over the world, sitting here in Singapore. So if you want me to coach you, guide you, if you have a team of 10, 15, 20 people, yes, we can also assist you in doing a Zoom-based training and get your entire team up to speed in using VLOOKUP, pivot tables, macros, how to combine data from multiple worksheets, multiple workbooks, and become an Excel champ. Thank you. Thank you very much, Manik. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Anybody else, if you have any suggestions, any comments, and if you have any questions or topics to suggest to me for me to cover them in the future, please let me know now. Guys, your feedback is what helps me to understand what I can create for you. So those of you watching right now, kindly like us and tell us right in the comment how we can help you. This will help us, guys. I'll just wait for the one last minute. If there are no more questions, then we will sign off on this session. And pretty soon, I will be creating new video and new live sessions for more functions and formulas of Excel. In fact, my next live is already planned out, where we will be talking about how to clean dirty data. That means if you get a text file or a CSV file or Excel file with lots of duplicate, blank values, wrong values, the data discrepancies, I will show you live how to clean this data. So I will be announcing the date shortly, and let me know if this topic is of your interest so that I can soon create a detailed step-by-step exercise lesson as well as some challenge exercises for you to try as well. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your help and support, and have all a great evening, a great day. Thank you very much. All the best. This is Vinay signing off from Singapore.